a little bit about you and maybe segue then into how this project came about.
So I have a production company in New York City with my co-director Heidi Ewing, who is actually, is she in Traverse City? She's showing the film elsewhere.
Michael Moore's festival.
Yeah, I think she's there. We've been bopping around. And we've been making films together for 10 years, a little more than 10 years, we cannot believe how much time. And we typically do observational cinema verite films, which are just very much fly on the wall. So this is our first biography, and this is our first foray into anything to do with celebrities. Mm-hmm. Usually we are making films about people that are in the shadows, and Norman is definitely not one of those people. He's
not a wallflower.
He's not a wallflower, and so it was a new and exciting challenge for us to do something that's completely not our genre. But we met Norman a couple years ago. His memoir was coming out, and I think he was just ready for someone else to tell the story. You know, obviously he'd been approached many times over the years and had said no, but he published this big book, and I think he just felt like he had gotten his version
Who
out.
introduced you to Norman? Were you at a conference together? Or?
Well, you know, we first met him because of Jesus Camp, because People for the American Way honored Jesus Camp. It's very much in their wheelhouse of, you know, issues that they're all about the separation of church and state, etc. And Jesus Camp is perfect for that conversation. And so we met him that way initially, and then Heidi interviewed him as just a talking head on another work for hire that we did on women in comedy. And we are interviewing him because he gave so many great opportunities to women in comedy, and he gave B. Arthur this incredible stage, and she's hilarious. Mm-hmm. So he also, you know, we met him in that context, and then we just started kind of bugging him.
He liked your work.
Yeah,
he liked the personalities.
Yeah,
of course, with any documentary, if you're dealing with a subject such, you know, personally one-on-one, you have to build trust,
yeah,
obviously.
Absolutely.
So I guess I could ask you one question, and then we'll throw it out there to the audience. The one obvious question, obviously, with a long, extensive career, a long life, was there any subjects or themes that Norman said, well, I really don't want to see that in the film? Did he come across, you know, initially that way, or?
You know, I have to give him a lot of credit. He was incredibly restrained in terms of telling us what he wanted. He controlled himself very well. And as an extremely successful producer, I understand how hard that must have been for him.
Right.
You know, he's used to being in charge. But the only thing, it's not that he would ever say he doesn't want to talk about something, or specifically, he would just evade. So he did not like talking about aging and mortality and things that I wanted to talk about in that world. But I feel like we got a chance to explore it because we just did an op docs about him, which is these short films that the New York Times puts on their opinion page. And we made a film about him casting this new series that he has been trying to get off the ground for about 5 years. It takes place in a retirement community, and it's called Guess Who Died? And he hasn't been able to sell it.
Really?
No.
Norman Lear can't sell a series. Is it a sitcom?
It is.
Hopefully.
Yes, it's a sitcom. But by filming him doing this casting, we kind of tricked him, and just in the nature of the actors that were coming in, and they're all, you know, older actors, and talking about how, you know, the ageism that happens in the world, that we finally got it out of him. But we literally had to, like, take it out of the context of him being the one. And,
right. So what is his view on mortality or aging? He doesn't believe.
He doesn't believe in it. He's against it.
Exactly. any burning questions? Lots of good hands. Right there, Marcia on the end.
What was it like to be actually directing after you've done Verite for so long? To conceptualize how, to actually do it? You had an actor, the
Sure.
child, you had sets, you had lights, you had
it's a lot easier in the end, because the thing is, when you're working with, when you make documentaries, there is directing that's happening. You have to create an environment where people feel comfortable, and it's not 100% observational though. It can't be. It's you're often filming things that you are expediting because you have a year and a half to do something. So things that you're not making things up, but you are expediting. So there is direction that's happening. It was kind of nice to just have a script and be able to tell someone exactly what to do, and not have to be, just suggesting or whatever, So I'm glad that it wasn't the first thing that we worked on. It was something that was nice that we had this history of directing in its own way. But Heidi loved it. Heidi really loved it, and she actually is going to be directing a fiction film very soon. So she really enjoyed working with that.
Well, there's no reason you can't go back and forth.
No,
Many filmmakers
no, in
have.
fact, it's a bit of a hybrid. So.
Yes, this woman here, and then we'll.
I'm not, did he ever want to make a movie? I'm not even.
Did he ever want to make a movie? He did make some movies. He made a few movies in the 60s. He wrote a couple. I think he won the screenwriting Oscar for one, or nominated. I can't remember. He must have just gotten nominated.
What was it called?
It was called, what was it called? Divorce American Style.
Oh.
Yeah.
I remember that.
But then, I think he opted for TV. He actually had been offered a 3-picture deal with what was it? United Artists? Was that around then?
That they were. Yes.
Yeah, United Artists. And then he finally got All in the Family greenlit. He had tried. They had done 3 pilots, and he had finally got it greenlit. So he had this pilot that had gotten greenlit or a 3-picture deal, and he went with the TV. And I think
Smart move.
Yeah, it was a good move. It was a good move.
But All in the Family was so much like the one in England.
It was.
Wasn't it? Did the English one get kind of mad that they copied?
No, I mean, I think I don't know. I don't know if they were. I don't know if they got upset about it. But they did like 18 episodes of that show, and Norman did 24 a year for 8 years. So the scale was different. He actually says that other people have a lot more control. Americans just are ravenous and have to overdo stuff. So, but I don't know. I don't know how they felt about it. More Matt.
Yeah, this isn't a question, it's just a thank you. I've known Norman for about 20 years.
Oh, good.
And you captured him
Oh, I'm so glad.
so perfectly. I felt like I was just sitting in a room with him throughout the entire
Thank you very
movie.
much. That's very
So
kind.
thank you for that. I thought the choices that you made in interleaving the fiction with the documentary were just really fantastic.
Oh,
So
thank you
this
so
is
much.
just me just
That's nice.
fangirling all over you here.
Thank you. That's very kind.
Yes, Stacy.
Apropos what you were saying, how much did you determine up front? Did you go through all that archive and say we can put a piece in here and do this here, or?
You mean in terms of when we did the recreations?
How
We
you
did those last. We did those last, and we showed clips of the shows that we thought had, because we had this thesis about the father from the very beginning. And if you read his memoir, for me it was very clear that this was something that was not only has completely, captivated him forever, but also is throughout his work constantly. And if you look through that lens, you see it over and over. So we looked for clips or scenes from his shows that we felt that we felt could illustrate that, or would be provocative. So nothing came first. The only thing that I can tell you that came last were the recreations, because we knew that there was these 6 moments in his life that we didn't have material for. We didn't have the right footage for. We didn't have anything visual to show the stories. And we also showed lots of clips that we didn't use, obviously, to everybody. We showed everybody's stuff. And then in the end, we ended up, what did we use in the film? We used the Rob Reiner one, and we used Norman and Russell Simmons. So we showed everybody's stuff, though, and we just used the stuff that we thought worked for the film.
Sam?
Yeah, you used a device several times in the movie, where you show a current real-time view of New York City or a street in California, and then you also show one from 50 years ago, which is really evocative of, I guess, how long he's been around. And
He's old.
Yeah.
Those palm trees have gotten big.
Did you invent that?
You know what? We used it a little bit in our other in Detropia. We stole it from ourselves. Kind of. We had done that. Just anytime, it's just fun thing to do, an interesting thing to do when you're talking about nostalgia, and when you're making a film about a 93-year-old, there's just nostalgia is intrinsic.
Very effective.
Thank you.
That gentleman right there behind Sam.
I thought your use of the archive footage and network footage of the past, of the historical recorded images was fantastic, and it really just enriched the depth of his life and what was fun entertainment. That must have been extremely difficult to wade through to find out, to get the rights and to pay for it.
Yes. That's right. Yes, I mean so we usually do observational films, which means that we shoot tons of original footage. Usually our ratio is, say, 400 hours or something to a 90-minute film. So in this case, the ratio was totally small, 40 hours or 50 hours. But the archive, it was so much archive, especially, even for his shows, there's hundreds and hundreds of episodes of just his programs. That was the tough part. That is the tough part, is figuring out. It's always a process of elimination, basically. That's what editing is.
Oh. You revealed the entire story to us about my dearest.
Right. For me, that was like, I thought it was so, for me, when he revealed that to us, which was like in the first half an hour or something of our first interview with him, he admitted that we weren't trying to catch him or anything. We just literally asked him about it, and he looked embarrassed, and then he said he had made it up. So for me, it was actually is the definition of the title of the film, just another version of you. It's that you can be 94 years old, so incredibly successful, seen everything, done everything, and you still have, you still are this vulnerable kid, and you still have this, wish that you were someone else or whatever it was, and it's so human, so incredibly human, that it actually, when that happened, it made me kind of love him.
Did you know immediately that you were putting that in and keeping that in?
We didn't talk about it, but I think as someone that is has a good sense of entertainment, he probably guessed that it was something that might have made it.
Yeah, exactly. This gentleman here.
What's the current status of his political activism and the American way?
They're out kicking. He's still very active with them, and they're having a crazy time right now, obviously with the election cycle.
Really?
And he's very engaged in politics, and I just saw him in DC, and he knows tons of folks there, but I think he's just upset like the rest of us
I
right
should
now.
mention, for those who like to tweet, he's very active on Twitter. So you should sign up for his Twitter account.
Yeah.
Yeah, follow that.
He'll chat right back.
Robert?
Yes.
Robert.
Obviously, you watched a lot of his shows, a lot of episodes.
Mhm.
In watching those, is there something that came out of that viewing for obviously weeks and weeks
Mhm.
that you just think, wow, was there some aspect of it that you just opened your mind or blew your mind or something like that?
I mean, honestly, All in the Family is outrageous. It is it is so provocative. It was shocking. It still is shocking, and I would share it with like our interns or whatever that had never seen it. Kids in their early 20s, jaws dropped. So I just it holds up. I mean, I guess that's not a big shocker. Not all the shows do. I don't think Good Times does. I've watched a lot of that too. It doesn't. All in the Family holds up. It is just, it's excellent writing, and it's just pushed the envelope, and we've never done it like that. And another thing is, I realized, sadly, I'll never be cool enough to understand Mary Hartman. I wish I was that person.
Yes, way in the back.
Clearly, loved Carol O'Connor's acting. Did you suggest the scenes that you used in the film?
He had told us about the elevator scene because it was they had a big conflict over it. So we knew about that clip, but then the basement clip I found and I loved because of the story that we were, the whole father theme that we were kind of working with in the film. I thought it was really strong. And, you know, he had this incredibly strong reaction to it. Also, people don't even notice that they're obsessed with something. You know, you read his book, you watch his shows, it's like the same things over and over, and then I'd be interviewing him and I'd ask about it. He'd say, "You really think that?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's kind of obvious." But, so it just, people are amazing. They just are, I guess, never recovered from their own lives, you know.
Any more out there? Oh, yes.
Do you think he, hello, do you think he made any changes when he entered into therapy at the age of 80?
That he did. He is about continuous improvement. He really is. He, I bet he did. I bet he corrected. I don't know specifically. I never asked him. That's a good question. But, you know, he's willing, he's happy and willing to be wrong about a lot of things, you know. And he is, like George Clooney said, he will ask you a million questions. He is a curious person. He's a great listener.
What was the first thing you said when you showed him the cut?
Well, we showed him a rough cut. What did he say? He was mostly only cared about what his family was going to think for the first 3 times he saw it. And he just wanted his kids to feel good. He wanted everyone to feel it. You know, I mean, so he wasn't even thinking about it. And then after he got through that, then he has been so supportive and wonderful. He's just like, feels like we brought some artistry to his life, which he really appreciated. He really likes the movie. What is the first thing? I think he was like, is there enough shot of Noah? Like one of his, something like that. And I was like, he's in there, don't worry. So he's more, I mean, this is the difference between a living legend and not a living legend. When you're making a film about someone that's going to see it, it's a different animal, you know. It was rewarding, very rewarding. I'm so glad that we've been able to share it with him, together with the world, etc. But it's got its own stress, obviously.
One last question at the back.
Well, I wasn't entirely clear how many children he has altogether.
6. He's got 6 kids.
And were there some who didn't want to participate?
No, we only interviewed 2 of them because he's got 6. So we picked, basically how we did is we picked one from the older kids and one from the younger kids. Because he has a daughter that's 69 and he has 2 twins that are 21. So he's got a very wide range of ages. So we picked a 27-year-old and a 55-year-old.
They're all on good terms.
They're all, yeah, they're a very close family.
25 years young.
Well, great. Hey, Rachel,
Thank you for coming.